Well, they've been the 31st century a while, but it seems that one of the characters in particular is looking to the future. As always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review, and I'm going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 4, so if you haven't seen it, this will contain spoilers. Now, the episode opens up with a captain's log, and I'll be honest, I forgot Star Trek was actually supposed to do this, as the show doesn't really do it anymore. I can't actually remember the last time we got one. Was it maybe Season 2? Maybe even Season 1? Glad it's back, and we do need it. So Michael's recapping what's gone on, catching up with life on ship. And this season does seem to be really leaning into the welfare of the crew, but is this going to be a plot thread? Discovery's been requested to go to Navarre as they're rejoining the Federation, and President Relic wants them to go, but Michael wants to focus on the Anomaly issue, or the DMA, which still sounds like DNA. How did no one pick this up when they were editing it? I've seen loads of people comment about this thinking it was actually DNA, not DMA. It is a little bit confusing, but you can watch it with the subtitles, I suppose. So Michael feels that this is a little bit of a window dressing mission, and to be honest, I didn't really get it myself. No one really seems to be that hyped or worried over the Anomaly the last few episodes, and considering this is supposed to be the big bad because we've not got any obvious villain yet, yeah, it was a little bit, I wasn't expecting it, but I'll get to that later on in the episode. Now, as I was mentioning, the welfare of the crew does seem to be focusing quite a lot in this season, and Telly is speaking to Hugh, who now appears to be the ship's counsellor, and it seems that he wears black when he's the counsellor but white when he's the doctor, so we can tell the difference. And this is really stuff we should have been seeing with Deanna Troi back in the Next Generation, but obviously TV and the writing and things and the audience certainly weren't there yet. And while I get this is a good way of telling the story, I don't know, I don't really want to see this every episode if that's what's going to happen. I don't really want this sort of predictability that people are going to just have to sit down and talk about Hugh rather than getting, talking about it with the person that they want to talk about or getting their feelings out. But it's good that they're giving Tilly something to do, and they are beginning to expand her character a little bit because she was slow in the first few episodes. I have mentioned that on previous videos, which you can check out after this one if you haven't done it. And do leave a like and subscribe to the channel as well. But Kovich is back, and apparently he's a doctor. But I don't think he'll be like, a doctor like you. He'll probably be like a doctor of some sort of science or something like that. So is he sort of consultant to this Federation or Starfleet? Because again, he's not really been cleared up, and I like that. I think that Kovich should remain like the Borg origins, and that they never just explain it. He's just always there. And he wants Tilly to lead a mission of cadets with Adira. And speaking of Adira, Gray is back to normal, and you'd think after a year or so of being an intangible being for a while, he'd be doing a lot more about appreciating having a physical form, like, going outside, touching the grass, even eating food. I thought he'd be stuffing his face and enjoying himself. But anyway, that's just what I would do. I'm not writing this show for obvious reasons. Also, that is some mullet, but I don't get why they're not doing more with Gray. They had this huge build-up of, oh my god, he's going to come back and get his body back, and now he has it. It was just like, okay, life's back to normal. So what are they going to do with Gray and Adira? I don't know. I'm not liking the way that this is going. I've talked about how much I liked Adira and how surprised I was about how much I liked Adira in the last season, and this season it just feels that they're wasting this character. And again, the whole Grey arc hasn't really paid off for anyone whatsoever. We do see something old and new, which is a 31st century shuttle, so I guess after all these years they did get rid of the Discovery ones, until they probably decide to reuse them again in Picard, because man, that's one of the things that took me out of Picard very early, and I realised what was going on is they're not paying attention. But we'll talk about Picard when Picard comes around. We're talking about Discovery, let's just go back to that. So the mission is essentially to help the cadets to learn to work together, as these people have grown up in different planets and different parts of the galaxy with no connection to the Federation or Starfleet, so they've got very limited experience with working with others and almost no experience with other species outside of, the ones that were stuck wherever they were when the burn happened. But this is a pretty heavily focused Tilly episode, And when she takes the cadets on their mission, she's got all the excitement of the favourite teacher that you had in school. And this scene made me realise that we haven't really seen Tilly shine. Not in the last season, she had a lot of stuff going on, so did the whole crew, and we never really got that excitement from her. And when Mary Wiseman is out there having fun and being Tilly, it shows on screen, and it is pretty infectious. But before anything can get started, there's an accident, and they crash land on an L-class planet, which was pretty much a kind of remake of that Deep Space Nine episode where Odo was taking Quark and they crash landed on a runabout on an L-class planet as well. And as soon as they crash land, it all kicks off. One of the cadets quite rightly thinks this could be a simulation, and this is a callback to other episodes, going all the way back to the early episodes of TNG actually, when we know that Starfleet cadets are put through some sort of psychological training just to see where their breaking point is. And it was kind of sad that they didn't run with this for a few more minutes. I thought it would have been quite funny, or if they'd maybe made the fact that this cadet was convinced it was a simulation, like he was some sort of conspiracy theorist. I think that would have been brilliant as well, and it was a bit of a missed opportunity in this episode. But again, this episode goes back to the writing, or at least for me, and once they crash on the planet, it goes steadily downhill. The conflict between the cadets happens almost straight away, and it feels super rushed, like there's no room to breathe, and it's just not exciting or compelling in any way, shape or form. We've seen this before in Star Trek, and yeah, many Star Trek shows over the years could be accused of repeating or rehashing scripts or storylines, and this feels exactly the same. It's a paint by numbers episode in terms of the Tilly storyline. We know exactly what we're going to get and how they're going to get off the planet. There is a bit of a, I wouldn't say twist or revelation later on, I'll get to that in a second, but the whole thing with the cadets on the planet with Adira and Tilly wasn't fantastic. And I appreciate again that this is character building for Tilly and Adira, but we're 4 episodes into this season and we still don't really know much about the anomaly or the stuff, what's going on, what causes it. We focus on a bunch of characters, the cadets, who I think might pop back up once, but they're not going to be recurring characters, so I don't really understand what they were going with here. It sort of felt like they were trying to do like that Odo and Quark episode and a mix of the Star Trek Next Generation Lower Decks episodes, and it just didn't really gel. And again, considering the amount of episodes that are going to be in this run and it's got a season-long story arc, I don't think they can really afford to muck about and waste this sort of time. But on Navarre, and I've not said it yet, I say it every video, the CGI is absolutely stunning, especially the intro when they go into that chamber in Navarre. This season has stepped up again and again, and although I give the story and the writing a bit of a hard time, I can't do it for the CGI, it just looks magnificent. I just wish they'd got there a little bit sooner with this, because in season 1 and 2, looking back now, although I can't look back because it's not on Netflix in the UK anymore, it did feel a little bit flat. And although this episode did rehash some old Star Trek themes and sort of tropes that we've seen before, we do get something a little bit new and picking up from the last season, which is Saru's relationship with the Navarre president. So, you know, he's out there, he's doing a little bit of flirting, he's testing the water, he's probably sending some DMs before he goes to bed saying he's thinking about her, that kind of thing. And Rillick is also there as well, and she mentions that there's been months of talks to get Navarre back into the Federation and get to this point. But what the hell were these talks about? Navarre or Vulcan was one of the founding worlds of the Federation, so why isn't it that keen, or why wasn't it that keen to rejoin? What happened that caused the strain in this relationship, or the change in the Romulan and the Vulcan attitude? They had a real opportunity to open up and give a little bit of backstory about what happened before Discovery arrived in the 31st century, and give a little bit of idea of the world building and the politics, and I feel again that that was a missed opportunity. There is politics in this episode, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but now that the burn has been resolved, they just seem to bring it back in the past tense of saying, oh, species didn't get on then, so you can't really expect them to get on now, and they could do so much more with this. I feel that this season should have been about the rebuilding of the Federation and Discovery going out and actually discovering things, because a main criticism for me of this show is since season 1, they haven't really discovered anything new. We've not got a lot of new species, if any, apart from like the Kelpians and a few others. They keep relying on the Klingons and the Andorians and the Tellarites and the Vulcans, and yet they're now in the 31st century. This is a sort of up-to-date Star Trek show, so why aren't we seeing any new species or going to any new places, really? They keep taking us back to Navarre as well. But anyway, going back to the treaty, so just before it's about to be signed, the president lets them know that they want an amendment to the agreement that can basically let them leave wherever they want. And yeah, that's not going to be great if you're trying to rebuild your federation or an empire. If one person or one group can just opt out whenever they feel it's going to be best for them. If you think, and also the president of Navarre, as soon as the anomaly was discovered, offered Navarre's assistance. So why is she now so quick to take that away if it doesn't suit her? I don't think we're going to get an answer to that. But yeah, she suddenly changed her tune, and I hate to keep saying it, but it doesn't make sense to me. But Michael and Sarut think they've actually been sent there to help solve this problem for some reason, and they do solve it. But not a lot particularly happens in this episode apart from one thing. The episode felt flat, and if they weren't using or relying on season arcs like the Burn and the Anomaly, again, they can afford to do stuff like this and waste time. But it's not Star Trek The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine where they've got 24 episodes a season. If you've only got 8, 10 or 12, I don't think you can afford to have more than one that's really got a bit of a slow pace, and this isn't the first episode this season suffering from a slow pace. And speaking of the Anomaly, they aren't building any tension or threat with this. It's not popped back up, it's not really caused any more destruction, we don't really know anything more about it, and I think the ultimate resolution or revelation to the Anomaly will probably be even more disappointing than the last season Burn. But yeah, with the rest of the episode, as I said, it's pretty much a paint-by-numbers Star Trek episode. The cadets learn to work together, and there's some book stuff as well with Colbert going through therapy and yada yada yada. Tilly manages to get herself off the planet with the cadets. She gets an offer from Kovich to teach at Starfleet Academy, and as soon as I heard this, I paused the episode and I started writing down my notes of, well, this is going to be our out for the season, because after the first 3 episodes, it was clear that they didn't really know what to do with Tilly, or they'd ran out with ideas. And they were trying to replace Tilly's character with Adira's character, or make Adira the new Tilly. But she doesn't even wait to the end of the season to take the position, she pretty much takes it straight away, which is sad, not just for me, but for the fan base. Tilly's, as I said, and I say this all the time, Tilly's been a fan favourite character. Mary Wiseman is a phenomenal actress with absolutely brilliant comedy timing. But this was kind of predictable. And yeah, she is going to be back and probably pop back up, but I don't know about how I feel about Tilly. It just seems that they ran out of ideas for her, and it reminded me a little bit of what happened with Jennifer Lien and Kes in Star Trek Voyager. Was it season 3 or season 4 when they wrote her out? There was just so much promise here, and it fell flat. And the scene where Michael and Tilly sort of talk about it and they're reminiscing their friendship, I mean, that's great, but we haven't seen them have these sort of friendship chats in a season or 2 as well, at least maybe since the start of season 3. And yeah, it just seems that they're picking this up whenever they want to, and I'm pretty sad to see Tilly go. But how do you guys feel about that? Let me know. So in conclusion, it wasn't a great episode by any means. We've lost a key character from day one who had great chemistry with a lot of the cast and characters on there. And again, I'm a huge Mary Wiseman fan. I hope if she is leaving Star Trek, she's going on to do other things that I can watch and enjoy, and that we can all watch and enjoy. And one thing that I hope is, this is nothing to do with any of the bullshit negative social media comments that are out there. Don't even bother Googling it. If you are Googling it, don't watch this video or watch any more of my videos. Please, because I just don't want that attitude and energy here. It's okay to be negative and things about the episodes and the performances, but to physically attack someone over how they look, that's not on, man. And plus, we're going to miss all that brilliant hair acting from wherever the ship gets rocked and Tilly's hair just goes all over the place. But at the end, they throw in an NX-01 Easter egg and a snow globe, so I suppose that's for the fans or whatever. But yeah, I wasn't particularly impressed with this episode. The season is plodding along very slowly. Will they ever take us to a new planet that's not Vulcan/Navarre? Will we ever meet a new species that isn't the Andorians, the Tellarites, the Vulcans? The Klingons, I hope so, but we just need to see it sooner rather than later. But let me know what you think of this game-changing episode of Star Trek Discovery. Are you sad to see Tilly go? What do you think about Adira and Grey? Let me know in the comments below, or you can follow me on Twitter at The Geeks Reviews. My name's Al, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I've got more videos coming up, including The Expanse, so keep your eyes peeled for that and set your notifications to on.